Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another episode of Garden Tea Talk, so grab yourself a cup of hot tea or coffee or whatever you prefer, and let's go ahead and have a little chat. Also, I wanted to show off my little figurines here. My sister-in-law made these. Aren't they absolutely gorgeous? She makes these in all different colors. Look at that, it's so beautiful. Anyway, I had to show them off. They don't get enough attention. And so let's go ahead and begin. Today I wanted to talk about the law of polarity. And I want to talk about the difference between polarity and duality. So the law of polarity is sort of like when you compare two things on a spectrum, on the opposite ends of a spectrum. So you have light and dark, cold and hot, things like that, right? Male and female. And so I was having a discussion earlier and it sort of got to me that not everyone kind of understands the difference of the importance of the polarities of things and how they're actually deeply connected because they're all on the same line, the same spectrum. So like, you wouldn't call something that's hot good and something that's cold evil, right? It's the same with light and dark. Just because something is a light doesn't make it good or superior to dark, right? And I'm talking about like, especially in spiritual concepts. So shadow work would be considered like dark, or if you work with deities, right? There are deities of like death and destruction, or like alchemy or transmutation, or shadow aspects of the human experience, of the soul experience. So I'm just trying to say that just because something's on one side of the spectrum doesn't mean it's good or evil, okay? That's duality. And that is something that in the spiritual community, at least as far as I am aware, we're trying to transcend this concept that because it exists here doesn't make it bad, right? And so, even, yeah, I guess let's just talk about spirituality to begin with. There's some misconceptions about spirituality being an actual religion, a belief system, right? And I just want to kind of clear this up from my perspective. Again, all I can talk on is my perspective of things because that's where I'm coming from. That's what I know. And I myself can evolve and grow and learn too. So not everything I understand is going to be set in stone. It's not law because I say it, but it is my comprehension, my understanding of something. So my understanding is that spirituality is the undercurrent, the river that flows through everything, everyone. It is your spirit, the animated aspect of being human, or if you're an animal, or if you're a plant, right? It's what brings things to life, the spirit within. And that is connected to source, to God, to whatever you call it, the universe, right? So spirituality itself is not a religion. It's not good or evil. It's not good or bad. It just is your spirit, your connection to the source, right? To your own divinity. And so when I talk about spirituality, I am talking about my beliefs, yes, my understanding of how things work, but it's not disregarding religions. It's not disregarding Christianity or any other religion. And there are, I don't even know how many religions and religious beliefs there are out there, but I do know that in this lifetime, I don't have the capacity, the energy, the time to spend learning them all and doing a deep dive and understanding them all to their core and what they're all about. But I do know that it doesn't, having a different belief system, a different religious affiliation or whatever, does not mean, how do I put this? It doesn't make you any more or less human or more or less superior than anybody who does not agree with you. And not understanding spiritual concepts, not believing the same way that I do, does not make you more or less superior than me, right? Like, we're all one. We're all connected through spirit, through spirituality. So to claim that spirituality is evil or somehow against a person's religious beliefs, to me seems like a misguided concept, a distortion. And that's what I'm trying to clear up. Now, I don't have anything against any religions. I'll say this over and over again. I think they're all, while they have variety, right? The spice of life, the choice, the free will, the option to decide what's right for you, they still, if they're teaching you disconnect, if they're teaching you you are above or below another being, human being, plant, animal, whatever, they're teaching duality and distortion. And I don't think that religions specifically do this. I think it's the interpretation of a religion based on people's perspectives that teach these dualities, right? So people talk about religious indoctrination and being brainwashed and how religions are used to control. But if I was going to go to a restaurant to choose, right? If I went to several different restaurants and I chose which one I preferred based on my taste, like, say I had to choose from McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, Taco Bell, whatever. And I chose Wendy's as my favorite. And it was my taste preference. I liked their food better. And I don't necessarily, I'm just using this as an example. That doesn't take away from the other places, okay? It's variety. It's about resonance. It's about what lands best in your heart and soul. And I don't think that they were created to create division. Like, I don't think McDonald's was created to try to win some war against Taco Bell. Okay, I know this is a strange comparison, restaurants to religious systems. I know religions, because they're connected to our spirituality, because spirituality flows through them all. It is the core of your belief system, your structure, right? Whatever resonates is what touches your spirit, is what activates that spirit within you. At least in my opinion. Again, I could be wrong, but this is how I perceive. And to use those structures, those systems, those preferences against another is duality. It's warring. It's creating warring factions that don't need to be there. It's like another example of this duality versus polarity. Masculine energy and feminine energy. There's a lot of gender as well. And please, this is not a freaking political conversation, okay? This is a whatever. It's a concept. It's the laws of the universe, right? There is the law of gender. You have male and female, or man and woman, or masculine and feminine in nature, naturally occurring. They exist on the polarities, but they're on the same line. To say that women or men, depending on who's the one saying these things, is evil and the other is superior is a creation of division. It is turning the poles against each other to create a war that doesn't need to exist. These distortions in our belief systems, in our societal systems, however you want to put it, these create division, and that is the sole purpose of division, is for control. Now, there's a difference between, again, it's just like with polarities versus duality. Polarity is a law of the universe. Duality is taking those polarities and warring them against each other, making one good and one bad, creating this distorted concept in our brains that if you go in this direction, you are inherently evil or bad, because this is superior to this somehow, but it's not. It's a pole. It is a opposite side of a magnet, right? It's anyway, I think you get what I'm saying. Hopefully. Where was I going with this? Religion and spirituality are not polarities. They're not. Christianity is not the polar opposite of spirituality. Spirituality is within Christianity. It is within the Veda. It's within the Torah. It's within the Bible. It's within everything. It's within you. It runs through you. It is the spirit of God, source, universe, whatever you call it, goddess, whatever you call it, whatever you resonate with, vibrationally speaking, energetically speaking. It is what brings it to life. It is what flows through us. The spiritual aspect of us. One of the 4 pillars of what makes us a human being. But also, it runs through everything. It's like energy. I don't know if I'm explaining this correctly, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying that there's a spiritual aspect to your dresser, right? Or your chair. I'm just saying that it is what brings things to life. It is the spirit. Body, mind, spirit, heart, whatever. So, yeah. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about was ascension and transcendence. The other 2 things. Let's start with ascension. Ascension is not making yourself superior to something. It is not claiming that your source or that you're God, that you're more connected than other people, more awakened than other people. I get that. It all exists on this spectrum, right? Ascension is coming out of this dense, we talked about this before, the layers of reality, right? The layers, emotional layers, the energetic layers. The dense hell aspects, the emotions and feelings and sensations that flow through us that are heavy, weigh us down, leave us sometimes with a sense of hopelessness or regret or remorse or scarcity. These dense, heavy vibrational energies exist for a purpose. They are part of our growth. They are part of our evolution. Ascending, rising up, it's just like if you start a job and you start at the bottom, you're part of a crew, part of a team, you're a crew member, a cashier, a waiter, a whatever. Like, it depends on your job and what your title is. If you have a goal to ascend through the ranks, the rungs of the ladder in your job, as you move up, you are, in a way, like you have superiority, right? But it's not I'm superior because I'm better than this person because I did this and they're not doing this, whatever. They might be really, really good here. Like, they might be really good at customer service. Like, that might be where they are the ace, right? They're the best. They deal with the customers the best. Everybody loves this person. And that, in that way, they might be superior to you because you suck at it, right? But you are raising up the ladder in increased responsibility. You have increased experience because you wanted to not necessarily get a better title. It's not necessarily about the title or about the amount of money that you make. It's also about where you fit best, what resonates best with you. Being up here doesn't make you superior as in good versus bad, right? This person could be the absolute best customer service representative, cashier, whatever. And this person could be the best CEO, makes the best decisions, puts aces in their places, is the best boss, right? But at the end of the day, when they both go home from their jobs to their families, they're just human beings. We all are. So the ascension, again, is just, as far as energetically speaking, spiritually speaking, it's coming out of this stage where you felt dense, heavy energies, and we're navigating through that, through those shadow aspects, through those darker aspects, right? Not evil, not bad, experiences, human experiences, natural. Because why? Because seeds grow in the dark. You have to be planted in the soil, in the depths, in the density to grow, okay? not evil. But you come out of it and you rise up and you raise your frequency and you raise your consciousness, not to be better than the people who are still working through this, but to help, first of all, to accomplish something within yourself: growth, evolution, connection, deeper connection to humanity, to the collective, to your source, to God, to your own spirit, to your purpose, right? Getting stuck here does not make you evil. It just means there's more work to do. Sometimes, okay, think of a bamboo shoot, right? Sometimes things that take the longest here grow the tallest, the highest, the fastest after the work here is done, right? Like they shoot up above the rest, right? It doesn't make you less than in any way. That is how I view ascension. And again, my perspective is not law. It's just my perspective. But I have to talk about it because I want to relate to people. I want to connect to people. Now, as far as transcendence goes, again, this is not a concept of transcending life. I am so spiritually enlightened and awake that I am now better than everything, and I transcend this life and I exit the matrix and I poof out of existence and become one with nature and all things. Maybe, but again, I'm not. The idea of transcendence is not about that to me. It just represents evolving past a certain point, not being stuck in something. In today's society, the thing that I believe we are trying to transcend is duality and division. Why? Because a whole cohesive unit of human beings who work together for a similar outcome: peace, love, harmony, resonance, connection, depth, growth, evolution. To work together in that way, to be connected in that way, to see other people as part of the self, to see the self as part of the whole. It's so much more can get done. Imagine a society where people can be like that, right? This idea is like that whole grounding heaven down to earth, right? It's heaven and hell exist within you. And I know I'm not trying to go against any religion. I've already said it 100 times. I'll say it 1,000 more if I have to, but I'm not against the beliefs that other people hold. I have no ill intention or directed animosity towards anyone who believes differently than me. But I believe that heaven and hell exist within you. You project them out. What you see in the world around you is what you create, and not just by yourself, because we're not alone. We are one with one another. We are a collective whole, a community, a family on this planet. And sorry, I'm sort of losing my train of thought here. The collective manifestation of reality is what's playing out right now. And the reason there's a breakdown is because the breakthrough happens after the breakdown, right? You build a new foundation, you build a new building when you demolish the rotten, corrupted, corroded building, the collapsing building that is no longer serving a purpose. The people have long fled this building, right? As a metaphor. The tower, I'm just imagining this town where there was this really tall building and no one could use it anymore because it was so corrupted and broken down and not maintained. And it took them a while to demolish it because they had to do it really carefully because it's really close to a main road. And so as they were slowly tearing this building down, we'd have to detour every time we went into this town. I have to pause, hold on. Sorry, throat issues. And we'd have to detour to go around it so that if there was any fallen rubble or anything like that, you get the gist. But they can't build a new building there without tearing that down first. And in fact, if they hadn't torn it down, it could have harmed people, right? And so that's kind of what's going on right now with our structure. And it's not about, and again, please forgive me, I'm not trying to offend anyone here, but it's not about being ruptured or the good will rise while the bad stay down. No, it's we collectively break down the things that no longer work for us as a humanity, as a society, as a collective, as a group of brothers and sisters, so that we can build something better in its place. That is what we're working on. That's transcending the old. That's transcending. We're letting go of what no longer serves us. We're letting the tower fall so that we can build something better. But we can't build it on distortions. We can't build it through, division. We can't build it divided, arguing and warring against each other. But the polarities do have to be there. We have to recognize that not everyone's going to be in the same place on the spectrum as we are, and that does not make them any more or less than us. That is distortion, destruction, division. That is what is breaking down, collapsing. And so that is my perspective of the day. I hope that it resonates and that other people understand where I'm coming from. And please feel free to offer me clarity as well. But this is something that came up and it was kind of bothering me. And I just really wanted to talk about it and explain my perspective on it, because sometimes I feel like my voice, even though I know it's important to use my voice, sometimes it's more important to hear out other people's opinions first, right? And that feeling of, it's not like they're forcing me to shove down my own perspectives and feelings and beliefs. It's just that I have to hold space for them as well. And so in doing so, sometimes I feel like I get activated and I have to, because of how their words affect me and how I can't just react, because that wouldn't be fair. So now this is me expressing that, not to be in duality with them or disconnection with them, but just to have my own perspective shared. And whether they see it or not, it's fine. It doesn't matter. It's just I had to get it out because of that. Because this is how it hit me, how it landed. And it lands as something that I needed to speak on and try to teach on based on my perspective. So again, you can tell me your perspective. If you disagree, that's fine. Disagreement, again, it doesn't change how I feel that we are all one. I love you all. I really, truly do. Even if I don't know you, I know that we're connected through our spirit. That's spirituality. To me, that's what spirituality is. And so I guess that's it for now. I just had to get it out, and I hope you enjoyed this garden tea talk with me. And feel free to suggest any other topics that we can talk about together. Just a little side note here for the end of the video. I wanted to, as some of you know, like my channel is the Sacred Garden Temple, and it's my perspective on heaven on earth, right? Bringing back this concept of being able to have heaven on earth, the Garden in Eden, right? And the temple's within us. So the more that we can connect here in this space, the more that we can bring that back, that collective resonance with Eden, peace, harmony. And I used to have this small little place in the back of my house. I lived in a different city, where me and my friends would sit around a table and drink tea and just talk about everything. And so that's what this is now. So welcome, friends. I hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you if you decide to come back for the next one. Have a great day.